This is day one of my coding journey for 100 days of SwiftUI. Not Swift, but SwiftUI. I do have a video for Swift, so check it out when you get the chance. Today, I'm going to be talking about what I've learned, also show you guys what I've coded, and then talk about how day one went. I'm going to be talking about what I've learned versus just showing you a bunch of text on these slides, but I'm definitely going to be showing you what I've coded too, so don't get it twisted. Now, why Swift and why SwiftUI? Now, this is a great question because there are other languages out there, could have got the job done, but from what I could gather based off of my own preferences, I kind of noticed that I wanted to create things that impacted people's lives, but also I wanted to create things that people use on a daily basis. And apps seem like the way to go because who doesn't use Netflix, Candy Crush, Facebook, what else? ChatGPT, right? So those are all apps, and I think making something that people use like on the daily is just cool to me. Plus, I have an iPhone, so I want to be able to actually test the app on my phone before I release it to the App Store or however these guys do it, right? Since I know Android has their version called Kotlin, I decided to choose this one because I got an iPhone, so why not try to build an app literally on my phone? So I think that's pretty cool. Now, why SwiftUI? I think it's necessary because as this language is changing, evolving, and adapting, you want to stay up to date with how this language uses other tools to get the job done, right? So Swift is a language, and then SwiftUI can be seen as a complement to the language. So that way you can make things look better, have a stronger database, and overall, easier code to read. Now, why does Swift both have variables and constants? Now this makes sense because they urge us to only use constants, and it's like the reason why is because they don't want us to make mistakes later down the line for the variables we set. So when it comes to variables and constants, I see why they would want us to just use constants, but when it comes to variables, like we want to be able to change things at certain times based off of whatever we're trying to solve, right? Whatever properties we set it as. Example, right? Go to the code base, we got var name equals Luffy, and we could change that as many times as we want to because based off this certain scenario, it's like, I want to change the name a couple times. And if you're a One Piece fan, comment down below. So most of my code, jargon, and logic is gonna be anime themed. So just be ready for that. But as you can see here, character Usopp is a constant. If I were to try to change this to, let's put his name as Chopper now for character, it should complain and say you can't do that because it's a constant. I want it to stay the same regardless of what you say. You said it's gonna be Usopp, so it's gonna stay Usopp. But if this was a var variable, I should be able to change it now without the computer crying to me like a child. See? No errors, no nothing. Why does Swift need multi-line strings? Now, I think they need multi-line strings to make it more eligible for other coders. It's like I said before in the other video, when it comes to coding, it's not just for you. Even though you're coding it, it's for other developers to look at, to review, to refactor, and to point out the mistakes you've made. So it's kind of like, imagine you wrote a book and you wrote all of the paragraphs all on one line. How is that even eligible? It just looks wild to me, right? So that's why they put it on multiple lines, so that way it's easier to read, right? So imagine if this list of characters was just going down endlessly, right? It wouldn't be kind of easy to read. It would just be kind of like a strain. So rather than that, you kind of just put it all on separate lines. And it's still easy to read, it's still legible, and it still compiles correctly. Why does Swift need both doubles and integers? Now this is a good question too, but to put it simply, computer doesn't see doubles and integers as the same thing. So it's like, if you have a fraction, it's gonna treat it as a double. If you have a decimal, it's gonna treat it as a double. If you have a whole number, it's gonna see it as an integer. So let's take a look here. Let new bounty equal old bounty. In One Piece, they're pirates, so they have bounties. But even though these both say 2000, this is a double, this is an integer. They computate things differently in the computer, so let's just let it be. Less mistakes on our side, more mistakes on theirs, but they usually never do. It's always on the person writing the code making a mistake. We're just basically telling it what to do. So why is Swift a type-safe language? Now this is a great question because at first I was like, what is a type-safe? What is any of that, right? But then it just kind of got me thinking, like, type-safe just basically means that it's just making sure we don't make mistakes when we are creating our types for these variables and constants. So like imagine you have a shelf and each shelf is categorized as a certain thing. So first shelf is shoes, second shelf is CDs, third shelf is DVDs. You can't put DVDs onto the shoes shelf because that's not what you assigned it as. So it's gonna make sure that you be like, hey, don't do that because that's not where it belongs. Even though we as humans, we tend to just make mistakes like that. We just put anything wherever we want. So rather than making those mistakes, Swift is like, I got you. I'll take care of all the heavy lifting. I'll let you know when you make a mistake like that. So here's an example. So right now, var name is classified as a string. I can't put it as a number. It's gonna cry and complain saying, hey, you assigned it as a string, so why are you trying to make it as an integer? So just like the whole shelf analogy, you have different types of shelves. Once you automatically give it a certain value, it's gonna make sure that shelf stays the same. It's not gonna give it any other stuff that isn't along with that category. So it could be different types of shoes, but so long as it's shoes, it's not gonna be anything else. No cooking supplies, no DVDs, no CDs, no nothing. It's just shoes. All right? Hopefully you guys stuck to the end. I will be doing other stuff as well, like tech reviews and everything like that, but 1 day completed, 99 more to go. If you have any comments, let me know down below. If you're an anime fan, comment down your favorite anime. But yeah, overall, pretty good day.